Hello there, how are you? Today I come up with a new lesson and welcome to our today's lesson. It's going to be about formal and informal speech. I'm going to give you 5 things you must do in academic presentation. The objective of this lesson is I'm going to give you here 5 simple tips to make your presentation more academic and professional for all teachers. So let's start with defining or looking at what formal and informal language mean first in academic setting. Formal language is a style of speech used when you are speaking to someone you don't know or on whom you want to make a good impression. Maybe that impression can be to educate, to inform, to persuade, or to call for an action. This type of language is mostly used in formal situations like, for instance, academic settings, conferences, panel discussions, and business meetings. When it comes to informal language is a style of speech where choice of words and grammar tends to be familiar rather than formal, and it's used when you know or want to get to know the person you are speaking to. So let's compare formal and informal speech. What differences do they have and how could we use them? Well, formal style is characterized by long and complex sentences, a scholarly vocabulary that is too much related to academic discipline, and a consistently serious tone. Again, grammatical rules are thoroughly observed and the subject matter is substantial. That means it's important for the people receiving it or receiving your speech. It might be educational or informative. When it comes to informal style, it's less strictly grammatical and it uses short, simple sentences with simple pattern sentences. Contractions are mostly observed and ordinary familiar words are used in informal style of speech. So when it comes to academic presentation, in academic presentations, a formal style of language is required. For this reason, the following tips as well as points are useful to note when you do that. Let's see them one by one. Tip number 1. Try to avoid contracted forms which are used a lot in spoken and informal written English. Let me give you some examples. Look over here. Data isn't available at present. So isn't is a contraction here. So we don't use contractions in academic presentations or academic setting. So in order to make it formal, you have to use as this the example, the full format, that is, data is not available at present. Well, let's move on. Tip number 2. Don't use a slang. If you are not familiar with a slang, slang is a very informal language or specific words used by a particular group of people. So the other peoples may not understand the slang, so you will get rid of them. Look this example. The guys who completed the questionnaire. This is very much informal because guys is here used as a slang. Guys has got 2 meanings. It may refer to man or it may refer to both sexes. So that's why it is a slang and it's awkward to use it here. So in academic presentation we use the formal one, as I've said, so we are rearranged in this way. The people who completed the questionnaire, or you can say the respondents who completed the questionnaire. This is the more formal language that you can use. Tip number 3. Try to look for alternatives to phrasal verbs because many of them have an informal tone. Let me give you some examples. It's regrettable that the disadvantaged groups put up with the situation. So put up with is a phrasal verb here, which is which gets an informal tone. So we better rearrange it or change this phrasal verb with the right word. So in order to make it formal, we can change it in this way. It's regrettable that the disadvantaged groups tolerate the situation. This will make it more formal and clear in our presentation. Let's move on to the 4th tip. You also need to avoid using coordinating conjunctions like so, but, and. at the beginning of your sentences when you're speaking, just as you do in academic writing. Let's see some examples here. Look, these examples in the informal setting or style. I've given the left column or hand, and the formal ones which are rearranged or reshifted were given the right column. Let's compare them. And Jasmine states that. So we better use subordinating conjunction or adverbial conjunction in order to make it formal. So it can be like this. In addition, Jasmine states that. But I'm convinced that. However, I'm convinced that. So I decided to use quantitative method of research. So we will change it in this way. Therefore, or for that reason, a quantitative method of research was used. So this is how you can make it formal. Tip number 5. Although the word one is considered to be formal language as opposed to people, it can be sounds tilted, and the passive voice, which sounds more natural, is the preferred option for academic presentations. So rather than using the active voice in this way, we are using passive voice mostly in academic presentation. Let me give you good examples here. In our country, one has to take into account the great cultural differences that exist. So one is not good here, and I use active sentence. Let's make it formal by changing the way it is constructed, the sentence constructed. When you make it passive, look how it can be more clear and professional or academic. In our country, the great cultural differences that exist have to be taken into account. So this is how you can make your speech more formal. I think these 5 tips will help you to adjust yourself in a good way. So this will take us to the end of our test session. Thank you very much for watching with patience, and if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share, like my videos, and if you have any questions, don't forget to comment your questions. You can write down under my comment section. Until I see you next Friday, bye for now. Bye bye.